The purposes of this weekend are to thank you for your generosity and your gifts of financial aid, need-based aid, merit aid to undergraduate students and to graduate students, and to try to convey as best as we can why those gifts are so important to the students who receive them, to the faculty who teach those students, and to advancing the mission of Notre Dame. Universities exist for their students. If we just did research, we would be a research institute or a national lab or something. But we're not. We're an educational institution. As a university, our primary focus is the human intellect. But as Notre Dame, our major concern is the human being. Is taking 18 and 19-year-olds and helping them develop and mature in body and mind, in spirit and soul, into young adults who carry the values of Notre Dame with them wherever they go. Many students can't afford a Notre Dame education, or they have special talents that many universities are trying to attract because it will enrich the experience for all the students. We want Notre Dame to be a place where students' talents and commitment, where their hard work, where their values being consistent with Notre Dame's values and helping define this university for the next generation, that's what determines whether they come to Notre Dame, not what their parents' income is. You make it possible for that to happen. So, in a very sincere and important way, you keep Notre Dame, Notre Dame. I can't think of a gift that's more important. So once again, on behalf of Father John and John F. Lakegraves and the deans who are here tonight, my colleagues, thank you for what you've done for the university and for keeping the university it's been for you, for us, and we hope will be for many generations to come. Tonight, we would like to thank all of you, but especially recognize those who have reached new milestones in their giving. Those individuals are listed on the cards, as I mentioned, that are by the menu. So, if Father John would join me up on the stage, we'll begin. At the presidential level, Joe and Chris Trustee.
So I'm that guy who's not been to one of these before and has no idea how long I'm supposed to talk. So I'll be quick. When we were thinking about our gift, my wife is much more private than I and had no aspirations for a building with our name on it. I, on the other hand, have an ego that's quite big, so I was hoping for something with a little bit of neon or day glow. And when I was told that wouldn't happen, we reverted to scholarships. We are very interested in science, math, and engineering. I was an engineer. I'm no longer an engineer, but truly believe that the future of our country depends on more engineers. And so we started a merit scholarship program for STEM, science, technology, and engineering. And we did it with a number of aspirations. One, we would like at some point for it to be the largest merit scholarship program at Notre Dame. If God treats us well, we hope that can happen. We would love for the science schools and the engineering schools, which are all incredibly great already, to receive the same sort of recognition that the business school does, the undergraduate business school, which is obviously #1 in the country. That would be a goal. We would love to see Nobel Prize winners come from our merit scholarship program. But most importantly, our primary goal is to find kids, great kids, who need some help and who have interest in science and engineering, and help them find, with great Christian and Catholic character, obviously, help them find their way at Notre Dame. So thank you very much, Father John.
The distinguished level, Jeff and Lynn Hebig.
I don't know how to follow my friend Joe, but first of all, I want to thank everybody here. And I actually want to start with the folks who served us this evening. That was a very spectacular evening, and it was very much appreciated. I was actually one of that 71% that were referred to the other night. I would not have been able to come to this great institution was it not for the presence of a scholarship. I was on a Naval ROTC scholarship, and that meant an awful lot to me. So that was fantastic. Our scholarship is also about what are called Gold Star families. How many people understand what Gold Stars are? Okay. If for those of you who don't, if you've ever driven around and you kind of see someone with a sticker in front of you, and they have a little strip, and sometimes they have one blue star, 2 blue stars, that means they have someone serving on active duty, typically in a combat environment. Unfortunately, sometimes those stars go from gold to blue, or from blue to gold, and that means they lost a family member. So our scholarship for my wife and I is actually for the child of either a wounded warrior or for a Gold Star. I encourage you all to and I thank you very much, and I encourage you to look for more blue stars than gold stars. So thanks.
Steve Pape.
When Michelle Shakur of the Development Office handed me this card tonight, and I saw my name under distinguished, I said, Michelle, there's been a terrible mistake made. The second point I'd like to make is, all weekend, I've been hearing thank yous to me. I would like all of us on this list and the spouses that support their being on this list to say, no, we thank you, Notre Dame, for what we are. The final point is, I hope with my continued life and some life insurance that my next effort will be able to endow a Pachman Terrace Peace Studies program at the Kroc Institute for International Peace Studies, a chair in the name of our wonderful Pope John XXIII, whose encyclical now turns 51 years this year. Thank you so much, Father John. Thank you, Notre Dame.
Tom and Ann Wamser.
I believe that education is the route out of poverty, and good Catholic education is that and so much more. I grew up as a child of a single parent, single mother with 3 children. She was an only child. Her parents were dead. And last time I was here, you gave us all a rock. And on the rock, it said gratitude. And I want you all to know that I am extremely grateful for all the hands that were given to me growing up on my journey. I'm thankful for the education, Catholic education I had, and my husband, who's entrepreneurial spirit and hard work made our contribution possible. I'm also very grateful for this wonderful university where both of our daughters studied. It's changed their lives at a very vulnerable and pivotal time, and we are so grateful for that and for them. We also are grateful for the letters that we've received from the students over the years. They're beautiful, and I keep them all. And I would like to say to any students that might be here tonight that my mother always said, let go and let God. Do the best you can, and then God will take over. And I think that's very true. Thank you.
At the prize level, Rudy and Diana Brutico.
Well, I am not going to talk about our graduate fellowship, as important as that is. I want to expand a little bit on what Steve started saying. First, I'll just mention that our family, like I'm sure all of yours, really values and cherishes and celebrates heritage. Heritage is more than ancestry, it's more than culture. It's the values, it's the traditions, it's the personal experience, it's the life stories, it's the passions that they're passed through the generations, that grow within a family. And they all add something to that family's heritage. And it creates a rich fabric, a rich tapestry that illuminates and inspires every succeeding generation. It also forms a foundation that fortifies us and defines us and lasts through our lives. But unlike the brick and mortar foundations, it grows with new experiences. So that's where Notre Dame comes in. It was only not that long ago that our sons brought us here. And, it's changed our family's life for the better, by far. And it didn't take long for the spirit of Notre Dame, the values, the mission, the energy, the principles, the purposefulness to permeate our souls, and not just our souls, Diana and mine, but and not just our sons or our dear nephew, who all of whom are now graduates here, but also our daughters, who rightfully are very proud of their terrific alma maters, and now beyond that to our extended family. So it's become very much a part of our heritage. It's in our blood. Notre Dame is a core component in our hearts, and as such, it's part of our family's DNA now. I can already see it being passed along to my little grandson, and I know it will be passed along to future members as well. The spirit of Notre Dame. Wow, what a gift. So I just want to thank Father John, the incredible leadership we have at this university, the magnificent alumni, faculty, and all the benefactors near and far, large and small, who comprise the Notre Dame community. And I want to thank you for multiplying our loaves and fishes. Not just a minor miracle, but what a miracle it is to take our little modest gifts and turn them into something that is so powerful, so lasting, and really so priceless. So thank you very much, Father, and everyone here. Thank you.
Mike and Kathy Desmond.
I'm just going to tell a quick little story of what drove us to start this scholarship, endowed scholarship. Back in the early 90s, another Notre Dame graduate who was a customer of ours said, one of the great things that could happen at Notre Dame would be if someday everyone could go there and not leave with any debt. And that was both inspirational and aspirational. So I started saving money a little bit on the side, didn't tell my wife about it, to potentially, give a contribution. So then about a decade later, we got a newsletter from the chemistry department saying how one of the great professors here, Rudy Botay, who was the analytical professor, had started a scholarship. But they said, boy, we could use more scholarships so our chemistry graduates don't end up with so much debt when they graduate. So that was really an inspiration, because my dad, my late father, is a chemistry department graduate. I'm a chemistry department graduate. But the tough part was my daughter was an entering student, and she was going into the chemistry and biochemistry department. So before I started to establish this scholarship, or we started to establish a scholarship to go to the chemistry department, I had to make sure she got through organic and physical chemistry first. So luckily, she did graduate, and I've been able to save more money, and we're just very grateful to the university, to reach this level. And we really feel honored, and we thank the university more than the university should be thanking us. So thank you very much.
Jack and Michelle DeCanio.
So Joe talked about maybe getting his name on a building. I set my sights much, much lower. I just wanted tickets to the girls' basketball game today. Not only was I told no this time, during the regular season I couldn't get them. My wife and I have actually been coming back to this event several times now. And I have to tell you, each time it's a very humbling experience for me because it gives us an opportunity to meet so many dedicated members of the Notre Dame family. So many people whose hands shape the mission and destiny of our university. You know, when we talk about daring not to dream too small and challenging ourselves to be a force of good in the world, those are really hard things. And those are things that are not for the timid. They are not for the faint of heart. They are the types of things that only the few could accomplish. The few who have a heart filled with only love and with faith. I've been coming back to this university since I was 8 years old. Whenever I step foot on this campus, I feel that more here than anywhere else in my life. Father John, for you and the leadership and everyone that makes this university so great, I want to thank you for all you do. And thank you for allowing my family to play a very small role in the great things you do every day.
Phil and Judy Durr.
Well, our scholarship is dedicated to the memory of my parents. My father, who was a naval intelligence officer, a career diplomat, and a university professor in his own right in his lifetime, was an example and an inspiration to me. And my mother, Elena Durr, who was born and raised in Camagüey, Cuba, and came to this country and supported my dad, raised 6 children, and shepherded 3 to this university and to St. Mary's College. The scholarship will hopefully be preferentially awarded to students of Latino and Hispanic heritage from the states of Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, so that they can be better represented in this great academy of Catholic teaching. Thank you.
Marty and Jan Hiller.
I didn't realize it was a requirement to have to do public speaking to be a benefactor. Jan and I didn't attend the University of Notre Dame. We have 3 children. Our oldest son and daughter didn't come to Notre Dame. Our youngest son came to Notre Dame, which was a lightning rod for our family. It's something we didn't expect, and I think I was sharing at the table tonight. Jordan's requirements, because the other 2 kids went in, we live in Florida, was I'm going to go to a school that you and Mom can't drive and come see me. So I don't know if that sets the bar too high. And then after Jordan got in, I was sharing a glass of wine one night with Jan, and I said, you know, honey, I think I could have got in Notre Dame. And she goes, maybe it was just that 1 digit on your SAT score. The problem, honey, it was the leading digit on your SAT score. I said, thank you. So, you know, for us, Notre Dame's turned into 2 things. If I can characterize our experience, it's really 2 words, passion and dedication. And we see it everywhere. We see it in this room tonight. We see it in the students clearly. And if you look at that, it's the spiritual enlightenment, it's the educational enlightenment, it's the research that goes on here in the profound parts of Notre Dame that are so uniquely special. And we chose to do the scholarship because every time you walk across campus and look a student in the eye, you can just see the fire in their eyes. And it's just to be able to share that and give a little bit back. And we get, like everyone else has said, so much back from this university, and we really enjoy being part of the family.
Thank you. Tim and Patty Malloy.
We all came to Notre Dame for different reasons. In my case, my dad took me to a football game when I was in second grade, and I was bored to tears until halftime when they sang Happy Birthday to Johnny Latner. And from that moment on, there was no other place I wanted to go but Notre Dame. And I was the recipient of what I call the Joseph A. Malloy Scholarship. My dad gave me $2,400 per year, room, board, and tuition. Pretty easy. And when I came to law school, I wanted to go to Notre Dame, but I couldn't afford it, and the Joseph A. Malloy Scholarship had run out. So Dean O'Mara at the time, who was an incredible man, had dedicated his salary and somehow had put the pressure on Father Hesburgh to give scholarships to the majority of law students during my period of time. So I had a tuition scholarship for law school, and then I talked Father Durbin into bringing a prefect. I was the first non-priest in the suite of rooms in St. Ed's Hall on the 3rd floor, southwest corner. It was opulent. I couldn't believe it. So I got out of school, zero debt. I went to work, I made some money, and now it's payback time for me and for all of you. My scholarship program is rather modest compared to many of you, but it is for law, which I think you hear business folks saying, we've got too many. Well, we don't have too many good lawyers. We don't have too many ethical lawyers. We can use more of both. And our program is for minority students in the law. So thank you.
Al and Wendy McKenna.
Well, Tom, I hope you know that asking a lawyer to be brief is an oxymoron. I didn't go to Notre Dame undergrad because there was no scholarship money when it came time. But as Tim just said, when it came time for law school, Dean O'Mara had wrangled some money for law students, and that's how I was able to go here for law school. So we've established this scholarship to help married students. We were married in law school, had 2 kids at the time. The irony of the thing is we've since had 4 others. 3 of those 4 went to Notre Dame. The 2 who were born here did not. But the further irony is each one of them has a student here, a child here, 2 of our grandchildren who are sophomores, and one of them has another one starting in September. So, you know, part of this, as people have said, we've heard a lot of thank yous, and we talk about pay back, pay forward, but it's thank you to you. And I'd like to commend you, Father John, and Tom Burge, John Affleck Graves, Lou Nani, your whole staff for your excellent stewardship of this university. Dean Newton on her stewardship, excellent stewardship of the law school. And we've got 12 more grandchildren. Some of them may wander off somewhere else, but we hope this excellent stewardship of not only the university, but the commodity of the university, its students, continues in the future. Thank you.
Len Morris.
My grandfather was a butcher, and my dad was a butcher, and I was training to be a butcher. And my dad said, there is another way. And he asked me to apply to university. And I said, gosh, how can we pay for it? And one of the university was Notre Dame. And we got some funding, a grant at that time. And my dad took a second mortgage on the house to get me here. And I think it's payback time, as somebody said. I did okay in my life, and I really enjoyed my time at the university. It made me what I am today. And my dad died a number of years ago, and I think for me, standing up here today is thanks, Dad. That's all I can say. And as you know, we live in the UK, in Manchester, and now we're farmers. My wife couldn't come because there's a new generation of animals being born, and the first calf was born today. It's a bullock, and so I'm looking for names. Thank you.
Irwin and Andra Press.
In 1965, I was the first anthropologist at Notre Dame. And anthropology has always felt very much at ease here. Notre Dame has made it very easy for us. Never had to worry about teaching evolution. Apparently Catholics don't believe in the Old Testament. And in fact, one of the earliest texts in human evolution, Man's Unknown Ancestors, was written by Father Raymond Murray, CSC, who was chairman of the sociology department here for a number of years, written in 1944. So anthropology always felt very much at home here. We grew, we went independent, became a separate department out of sociology in 1980, around there, and it's continued to grow, and today the department has 19 going on 20 members, approximately 200 majors, 100 minors, and it's just doing absolutely wonderfully. But it's not just in a matter of numbers, it's also in a matter of quality. You may know that every 10 years, every department in the university is evaluated by outside evaluators. They bring in experts in the particular field who come from various universities, big names in the fields. And about 3 years ago, I think it was, that the Department of Anthropology's outside review came, and the reviewers basically said, this is the best undergraduate anthropology department in the United States. And they said the students are so engaged and so involved. By the way, this last November, the American Anthropological Association meetings, which is the national meeting of the anthropologists in the United States, 11 undergraduate Notre Dame anthropology majors presented papers and posters at the national anthropology meetings, and many who were there thought that these were obviously graduate students. This is one heck of a department now with these 20 members. They publish more probably than maybe half of the graduate departments in the United States. It is about time that this department became a graduate department, because and it's going to be an amazing department. If it's the best undergraduate department, imagine where it can go from here. And it's appropriate that next year should be the first class coming in graduate anthropology, 50 years after I came here and was the first anthropologist. And all I can say is that it's an absolute pleasure an honor to be able to fund the first graduate fellowship in anthropology. And this department is going to go places, and it's going to make Notre Dame very, very proud in the future. Thanks.
David and Jennifer Rowland.
My wife and I met here at Notre Dame, like many of you, I'm sure.
And the blessings that this place and our meeting has brought in our lives is something that is really special. Both of our parents were able to send us here, and as we all know, it's really difficult to thank our parents enough. Obviously, love and respect, but we felt that the best way to thank our parents was to pay it forward and try to make possible this same experience for others. And so that's what we hope to be doing with our scholarship and pay it forward. So thanks.
John and Mary Sasso.
As that great Catholic King Henry VIII used to say, don't worry, I won't be keeping you long. I didn't go to Notre Dame, my wife didn't. Our association started in 2007 when our son Sean started. That Christmas break, I wound up about 2 days before he was supposed to go back to school. I wound up in the hospital in intensive care in a coma on life support. I had total organ shutdown and things didn't look good. My wife, in her wisdom, decided to keep our children home for a few days rather than send them back to school. She emailed their rectors at the various schools they went to, and within hours, Father Doyle, the rector of Dillon, did I tell you that my son was in the best dorm in this campus? At least they have very good rectors. Emailed Father Dillon, and within hours he responded. He had already said a mass for me. He'd made sure that he was going to make sure that everybody prayed for me, and not to worry that he was going to contact all of Sean's teachers and everything would work out. Well, everything worked out. I'm here, obviously. A couple weeks later, I was home in recovery, and I got a letter from the president of the University of Notre Dame, Father Jenkins. It's a personal letter. He had heard that the father of a freshman was not doing well, and he wanted to let me know that he was praying for me. 2 weeks later, I got another letter. He had heard I was doing a lot better, and he was still praying for me, but he wanted to send me this rosary, and he asked if I would pray for him. Don't wander too far off the reservation, Father. Sophomore year of Sean's, I asked him if he felt he had made the right choice in coming to Notre Dame. And he said, Dad, every day I wake up, I look out the window of my room at Dillon, he was on the top bunk, and I see the Golden Dome and the cross on top of the Basilica, and I thank God I'm here. In junior year, he was going back to school from a break, and he looked at me and said, well, Dad, I'm going home. I'm going back to Notre Dame. Sean graduated, did pretty well, cum laude, honors Chinese and finance, and he got a great job. He's now first lieutenant, soon to be captain in the United States Marine Corps. He was... It gets a little better. He's been selected to fly jets for the Marine Corps. And as you know, if you've ever seen the movie Top Gun or any other movies, fighter pilots have what's called a handle or a call sign. And they all think they have the coolest one. Maverick, Hollywood, Iceman. Well, when Sean gets his, they're all going to think they have the second coolest one, because his is going to be Leprechaun.
Peter and Carrie Shaheen.
It's really been a fantastic evening tonight, and Carrie and I have really enjoyed hearing all the inspirational stories and the noble causes that so many have decided to give. We're a little bit more selfish, and we have 4 young kids at home. We thought it would be a great reason just to get away for the weekend. In all seriousness, it's really a privilege to be a part of the Notre Dame family. And there are so many serious problems in the world. And it's people like yourselves, and it's people that are part of the Notre Dame family that are working hard every day to solve them. So thank you very much. Thank you.
At the named level, Bill and Odessa Bourne.
I'm a Father Hesburgh product, graduated in 1958, and he said this was a special place. And I want to tell you that every year I come back to a football game and I meet 3 or 4 of my buddies with their wives. Where do you think we meet for the first time? We meet at the grotto. And I hope that I can pass this on to our scholarship students. This is a special place. Thank you.
James and Joan Carroll.
Given this is the university that's called Our Lady's University, I thought the honor of making a few remarks should go to the lady in our family.
Hi, I'm Joan Carroll, and Jim and I have 4 children. And in that endeavor, we always thought of education as very important. So we visited lots of colleges and basically looked at the football stadium, the food court, the bookstore, and that was kind of it. We started at a young age. So my youngest, sometime he was only in kindergarten, but we said, take a good look, because we may not be coming back, In any event, it wasn't difficult because my oldest son, Notre Dame was his school from day one. And neither Jim nor I went here. So we were a little nervous, though he was a very good student. We had no legacy, no family, and that's important to this school. But luckily it worked out. He was accepted, enrolled. Our next worry, as parents, you all know, one worry has to supplant another. So our next worry was, could he possibly love the school as much as he thinks he's going to? And he did. So that was great also. Along comes our last child, another boy, and we weren't sure where he was going to go. He had some good choices, and it was sort of down to the last minute. But what made his decision to attend Notre Dame was kind of interesting. His older brother graduated in 2008. 2007 was not a premier football year, if you recall. I think it was the worst in 25 years. But we were at that final game, senior day, and as Jack sat in the stands with us, and it was rainy and cold, and not just cold, but raw cold, the bone cold. And the game was over, and yet in the stands, that senior section, 4 more years, they kept chanting. And that really struck a chord within him. Like, how could these people, 1, they didn't even leave it so miserable, and 2, they want 4 more years of this, and they had a horrible season. So that said something. And the last thing was that Joey, my older son, had a lot of great Notre Dame friends, and when they heard that Jack was making a final decision between a number of them, they, unbeknownst to us, started this incredible email campaign. And he got letters from everyone, very personal letters of saying why they chose, why it was a good decision. And I think that was the final thing that made him decide, what an esprit de corps, what a group of guys that I would have supporting me, and I want to be part of that. And he never regretted it. They lived in 2 different dorms, had 2 different experiences. Both of them loved this school so much, and Jim and I felt we just had to give back and thank you for the sons that they have become in molding them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Patrick and Connie Castellan.
First of all, on behalf of the entire Castellan family, especially my wife and myself, we're very honored, happy, and humbled to be here. When I look back, I was reflecting what I was going to say. I said, geez, you know, this is a 50-year anniversary for me in a way. It was 50 years ago I got that letter, not the thin one, luckily, but the little thicker one with some papers in it to say that I was accepted to this institution. And that started 50 years now of wonderful, wonderful experiences here. I can't imagine living my life without Notre Dame. Both of our sons went to school here, and classes is 2003 to 2004, 2007. They loved every minute of it. My wife is a total convert now. But it's been a wonderful experience, and the university, compared to 50 years ago, it's hard. It's still many ways the same, but it's so much grander. I won't be around, I'm sure, for the next 100-year anniversary of my acceptance, but I'm sure with all the expertise and help and that you all folks give, in that 50 years, it will be an even better university than it is now, which was hard to imagine. Thank you very much.
Jim and Helen Collins.
This scholarship is named after my deceased wife, who died at a young age never had the ability to go to college or the wherewithal. So hopefully some young child with the same handicaps can be a success and make use of it. But I agree with Steve Pipp when he said we've had a lot of thanks, but I truly would like to thank the people that really influenced these types of actions, especially my own Atlanta development office and the development office here at Notre Dame, and friends that I've gained over the years. And but more specifically, their I guess initiative to introduce me to Father Hesburgh. And I found out during that time that he had created the National Science Foundation Fellowship for Mathematicians. And that, along with a few other remarkable coincidences, allowed me to find Helen. So thank you all.
Kevin and Becky Craig.
As you can see, they called two names, Kevin and Becky Craig. It's much more than that for us. It's really our family. We've decided to dedicate this scholarship, or actually didn't decide, it started with dedicating this scholarship in the memory of our father, John Craig, who passed away in 1997. And I credit my brother, Michael, along with my mother, Celine, and Becky was mentioned, and our children, you saw it, Rebecca and John, hopefully class of 21 and class of 23, as we think about the future. But it very much is a family event. And we thank this university for so much that it's given to our family. Our father, who loved this university and loved the idea of education and the importance of education. My brother Michael graduated in '89. I graduated in 91. We both came on scholarships. One a Naval ROTC scholarship, the other an Army ROTC scholarship. And Mike started to talk to my oldest brother, Chris, and his wife, Vicki, Becky, and I. How can we give back? How do you do it? And through some guidance and prayer and coming to the idea that we would fund a scholarship that would benefit students from our home state of West Virginia. Students that may not have the wherewithal to come to this great university. And today we had the pleasure to have lunch with one of the recipients of the scholarship, and it truly all came home. We are so happy to be here with you and to give a small amount back to this great university. And may I say to all of you, God bless you, and may God continue to bless the University of Notre Dame.
Mike and Renee Carrare.
First, we'd like to thank Father Jenkins and all the people at the university that made this weekend another special chapter in our Notre Dame experience. And added thanks to Muffet McGraw and the women's basketball team for a regional semifinal win, too. I don't know who arranged that, but it was great timing. As everyone in this room knows, our personal experience with this special place transcends more than what it can do for our careers or the notoriety we may enjoy. The Notre Dame experience is truly unique. It is truly a gift. And often with gifts, the measure of them is more about how we use them and the impact they can have. And often with that, with a little stewardship applied, the impact can be multiplied. When I arrived here in 1978 and moved into Farley Hall, I really didn't truly appreciate that. At that time, the measure of my gift was clear to me. It was the magnitude of the sacrifices my parents made for me to be here. And that alone deserved my best stewardship. But it soon became clear to me that the gift was more than just a good education. It was a Notre Dame education. It was a world-class education. And above all that, it was a Notre Dame experience. Mike and I have both been enriched greatly with the Notre Dame experience. We treasure it as a gift, and we think that it must be passed on. And so, in the spirit of being good stewards of an extraordinary gift, we think it's important that we started our first scholarship, a merit-based award, to the top graduate of each of our Catholic high schools. And our hope is that the recipients of those awards, in turn become good stewards of this extraordinary gift, and they too pass it on. Thank you, Father. Thank you, the university. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Mark and Cindy DeTremp.
First of all, we'd like to thank Father Tom and everyone for what a wonderful weekend. We started this scholarship when my father turned 80 in the name of my parents, and we've had spring break for a lot of years, so we haven't been able to make this wonderful weekend. So thank you. We'd also like to thank Chuck Schnurr and Al Bucci for helping us establish this scholarship. Before I tell you a little bit about my family and our parents, I was talking to my brother, Chris, who works for the university, standing in line, and saying that I really needed to differentiate myself given all the wonderful speeches we've had. And since we had such wonderful singers, I thought maybe what I should really do is sing why we started this. And he quickly reminded me that while Mom and Dad gave us many gifts, the gift of music was certainly not one of them. My father, our father, served in World War II and was able to attend Notre Dame on the GI Bill. He graduated in 1947, moved to Peoria, Illinois, where he got married in 1948 to Mary Amberg, a St. Mary's girl and a Peoria native. They didn't waste a lot of time in having children. They had 12 in 15 years. The second child died at childbirth, so the 11 surviving children, Chris and I are representing. I'm number 9, he's number 10. We started this because the one gift that they really believed in was an education, in particular Catholic education. And if you add it up, they made a lot of sacrifices to send us to Catholic grade schools, Catholic high schools, many of us to Catholic colleges, but all of us to college. If you add it up, it's 187 years of education and about 160 years of Catholic education. They were firm believers in the Catholic education and passing along that. So my parents, on their 80th birthday, we gave them a letter from Father Malloy that explained the 11 children and what we were doing. Cindy and I took the initiative on it, and we were thrilled to be able to be here to share this with you. I remember my father saying one thing to me about a couple months after Al Bucci visited him and explained the scholarship, that while he passed away and my mother passed away last year, within 4 months of each other, that they realized that there would always be a recipient of an L. David and Mary DeTrempe scholarship that might make it a little bit easier to go to Notre Dame, the place they loved, with the Lady on the Dome. Thank you.
Bob and Monica Diekman.
I had a prepared speech for tonight, but I'm going to skip it. I'm just going to relay a story. First of all, I want to thank Father Jenkins and everyone here for hosting and all the generous benefactors of the school. I'd like to thank Daryl Paulson, who worked with me to set up the Diekman Family Scholarship. I just want to relay a story that happened 28 years ago, almost to this date. I was a senior at Notre Dame at the time, and about a month away from graduation, and we received a bill in the mail. And the bill basically said that we still had an open balance for my tuition payment. At the time, it was a fairly daunting number, and I had exhausted all of our family's resources. I had many generous benefactors, the Notre Dame Club of Cincinnati, anonymous donors, and also even things like the federal loan program. So that day, I walked over to the financial aid office, and I happened to go into the office of Father Carey. Father Joe Carey, many of you probably know him. And I walked into his office, and I told him my situation, and I said that I was going to contact my future employer and see if I could borrow the money to pay the remaining balance. Father Carey said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "You're serious?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "There is a special fund for students in need that we can come up with the money to help you get through." That was one of those turning points in my life, and I'll never forget that meeting. And Father Carey said, "There's just one thing, if you're ever in a position in the future, if you can do the same thing for students that might be in need of some assistance to go to Notre Dame, that you help out." So this is that time, and my wife Monica and I are very pleased to set up this fund for that purpose, to help students from, I think someone said the state of West Virginia, or the state of Ohio,
but to help students in need. We have also had many blessings from the university. We do have 2 children that have graduated and 2 that are currently here. So once again, thank you, everyone, and thank you to everyone that's ever contributed to Notre Dame.
Rick and Lisa Dewar.
You know, when one turns a microphone over to a lawyer, I'm sure it's with a little bit of trepidation. It reminds me, I think it was my junior year when Everett Dirksen was given the Patriot of the Year award, and he stood in front of the packed Steppen Center and said, I don't have my glasses, so I can't see the clock on the wall, and there's no calendar around, so if the mind is willing, the seat will endure. I promise you I won't put you through that. My journey to tonight with my wife, Lisa, began because of my mother's mother, who took an article from the Chicago Sun-Times Sunday supplement about a gentleman who had graduated from Notre Dame who did very, very well on Broadway. And she wrote a little note, don't count this school out. And I am here because of my grandmother and my mother at Our Lady's School. It is a school that my mother and my father just dearly loved. And so I accept your applause, and I know Lisa does too, on behalf of my mother and my father. And we will continue this process. Thank you.
Dave Ertley.
Things I have to say are probably rather simple. My wife and I have been involved with students and graduate students for most of our lives. Both of us are graduates of Notre Dame, so we understand and appreciate the impact and the quality of education at this great university. And one has to say simply, it's very clear that the best thing that one could do is try to provide the opportunity for students to have the same experience and have the same quality of education. And that was sort of the basis for why we established the scholarship. Today, in particular, experienced, I think, a rather extensive conversation with one of the scholars, and I've had letters from both of the scholars that really convinced me that it's the right thing.
Matt and Michelle Feeney.
I have one goal this evening, and that is not to embarrass my wife. That's actually a directive. My family owes a lot to Notre Dame, and probably the biggest person, or the biggest thing that I have to thank Notre Dame for, is a person at the law school who's seated in my first year of law school, a beautiful redhead in front of me, in Professor Blakey's class by the name of Michelle Wendling. And if she will have me, through September, we will celebrate our 30th year of marriage. And my children are pleased about that as well, I am sure. I would like to just spend about 60 seconds talking about Holy Cross. I was a Holy Cross associate, which was a postgraduate volunteer program in 1979 and 80 in Phoenix, which is still my hometown. Holy Cross is just very special to me. I wandered over to the Holy Cross Cemetery today, and I saw the gravestones of some of my friends who are laid to rest there, and I just want to mention 3 of them. The first one is Brother Ludger Schab, and Brother Ludger was a Brother Andre-like person, very gracious, full of hospitality, that when I was a Holy Cross associate in Phoenix, just really drew me into the circle of Holy Cross. The second was Father Michael McCafferty, who was a law school professor, and I am sure the best dressed Holy Cross priest in history. He was affectionately known to the law school students as Father Preppy, because he would come to class every day in these beautifully tailored suits, which was a good thing for me, because my second year of law school, when I did not own a suit to interview with law firms, my wife noticed that Father Mike and I might have about the same size. And based on her suggestion, I approached Father Mike and I said, could he possibly lend me just one of his suits, which he did. And I got the job. I had to give the suit back, but I still have that job to this day, so I'm grateful to him for that. And then lastly, the fire chief, Brother Borromeo Malley, and the assistant fire chief at the Notre Dame Firehouse, Brother Beatus. I was a student firefighter when I was in law school here at Notre Dame to pay for room and board. I will tell you, Father John, the campus is profoundly safer today as a result of Notre Dame's decision to discontinue the student firefighter program. I could go on and on, but I will not. Thank you, Notre Dame.
Larry and Jan Gates.
Jan and I are here tonight, as many of you are, representing our entire family, the Gates family, but in particular, my father and mother who could not be here tonight. One thing interesting about our family is we have lived, most all of us have lived in this South Bend, Mishawaka community for most of our adult lives. And there are many, many reasons why we have such a high degree of appreciation for Notre Dame and for the student body here. But one in particular, I know for all of us, but especially for my parents, it really stands out, is this university is such an important and integral part of this community that we live in and love and care so much about. So thank you, Notre Dame.
Mike and Ann Kearney.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Kearney. I'm joined by my wife, Ann. We're thrilled to fund the Helen Rose Kearney Fellowship in honor of my mother, a first-generation Irish American. Old Helen Rose held three things dear: her faith, her family and friends, and her Irish heritage. She taught my siblings and me timeless life lessons in resiliency, determination, commitment, and grace. Grace in victory and success, grace in failure and defeat. As much as this is a loving tribute to my mother, it's also to sincerely thank Our Lady's University for accepting me into its MBA program on a scholarship as a member of the class of 1985. Ann and I are blessed to have two sons as part of this special community. John is a member of the class of 2014, and Patrick is a member of the class of 2016. Fortunately for them, they are blessed with Ann's brains and good looks. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Nancy Keenan.
I speak with a grateful heart. As you can kind of have indicated, we sent 4 of our youngsters to Notre Dame and a daughter to St. Mary's. We have 2 granddaughters that have already graduated, and at the present time, we have 2 grandsons on campus. We have much to be grateful for. But I will add, Father, when my husband wrote the last check, the last tuition check, he also wrote diagonally across the length of it, hallelujah. It's nice to think we'll always have a student on the campus. It's a very special place.
Nance, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheryl Custer.
I grew up in a very tight-knit family. My parents are from New Mexico, and for them, college was a reach at the time. They went to college, but they've always believed strongly in a couple of things, education and their Catholic faith. So when I had the opportunity to come here to Notre Dame, they were thrilled. And they were so proud in many, many ways. But one thing I can say is despite all that closeness in my family and wonderful, wonderful parents, I really found myself at Notre Dame. As far as my faith, as far as my profession, it was more than just what you grew up with, it's what you chose. And I know Notre Dame was a big part of that, and I know my family knows that Notre Dame was a big part of that, and they're incredibly proud of that. I now have the good fortune of having a daughter here as a sophomore, and I think there's so many parallels with she and I and my mom and I. And I'm incredibly proud of her. I was proud before she came here, but I saw her yesterday, I had lunch with her today, and every time I meet her again, and with her friends, and all the things she talks about, and the excitement and passion she has for this place, I realize the impact that this university is having on her, and I couldn't be more proud of that as well. So I'm overwhelmed with the generosity of the benefactors in this room. I'm so pleased that I could be part of a weekend where I felt that what I was able to contribute had a very meaningful impact to a student that couldn't otherwise be here without that assistance. So thank you.
Jim and Mary Kay Landsberg.
The amazing thing we find about Notre Dame and the tribute that we feel is that 90% of everybody who's graduated here, it seems that they've had children go here and grandchildren and so on. And so I don't think there's any greater tribute than for all of us to continue the legacy generation to generation. We had 3 go here. It's absolutely wonderful, and it's a tribute to Notre Dame and to the administration and so on. Our scholarship is a little bit different. Our boys went to UD Jesuit, University of Detroit Jesuit High School, and our daughters went to Mercy High School in Detroit area. And so what we want to do is not merit, not financial aid, but if you have the ability to qualify to go to Notre Dame, and if you choose to go to Notre Dame, then you're going to get helped. And that's what we wanted to do and help the Detroit area best we could. So we thank all of you, other benefactors, and hopefully this will just continue forever. Thank you.
Carl and Mary Agnes Liebscher.
My concept of education was very emblazoned on my mind by my father, who was an immigrant from Germany 2 years prior to World War I. He told me in no uncertain terms that in life, all the things that you work for and gather in physical ways, that the king can take them away from you. There's only one thing that's important. He can't take away your mind. And if you educate it, it's valuable. So when the time came for me to go to college, I thought I was going to be going to Texas A&M for mechanics. And he approached me and told me that a friend of his who had been at Notre Dame in 1924 thought I might get into Notre Dame. Would I like to go? And I thought to myself, Texas A&M, that's 125 miles from here. Notre Dame, that's 1,200. I'll go to Notre Dame. Any boy wants to be independent. My years here were wonderful. I was impressed and have been for years. And you saw all the charts this morning which prove that tuition does not cover the expense of my education. I owe Notre Dame quite a bit, not only for myself. 5 of our 7 children are graduates of Notre Dame. 6 of my 18 grandchildren are graduates of Notre Dame. Now, if you add that up, I'm starting. And I have great confidence. Father Ted, I took his marriage course, so I figure he's partially. He was very effective. God love him. And I'm confident he will send me a message when I have fully paid back all of that debt. And if he is no longer here, I'm expecting it from you, Father.
Janet McDermott.
Actually, I'm Janet's daughter, Mary. My mom just had knee replacement surgery 3 weeks ago, and felt the stairs might be a bit too much for tonight. But on behalf of our family, we just want to say Notre Dame means the world to us. My dad served in World War II and came here after and started something really special in our family. It's with great honor and pride that our entire family is thrilled that my mom decided to honor our dad with this scholarship, which will assist a student of families from the service who need a little extra help to make it here. And thanks, Mom, and thanks, Dad.
Dave and Bonnie Morrissey.
Bonnie and I are pleased and thrilled to be able to endow the Morrissey Family Scholarship. I did not attend Notre Dame, but our 4 children had the privilege and the honor of being here. And because I worked a few years here at the university, we enjoyed the benefits of a break in tuition. I'm sure a lot of you are happy to hear about that. But needless to say, it was time to pay back. And so we've been paying back for the last few years, a little bit here, a little bit there. And we finally reached that level where we could endow the scholarship. It's our hope that the recipients, and our plan for the recipients of the scholarship, is that it go to children from the greater South Bend, the greater Michiana area. We'd like to think that those who have their roots here will have an inclination after getting their Notre Dame education to stay here in the community and be leaders in the community. We feel that this is a great incentive, a great need, both here at Notre Dame and in the greater South Bend community. So that's our goal, and that's what our intentions are for this scholarship. Thank you.
Our scholarship is named for my father, William Newell, who passed away a few years ago. And many of you in this room have lost a parent. It was the first time either one of us had lost a parent, and it causes you to kind of reflect and think about things. And my father went to Notre Dame. I was fortunate enough to follow in his footsteps and go here, and we currently have 2 children here. It's meant a ton to our family. And like many of you, we've heard stories tonight that it carries on generation to generation. But if you don't have that opportunity, you can't carry it on. My father grew up in a single bedroom home with no indoor plumbing in upstate New York, one of 7 children to a single mother who was a grade school teacher. He was the first person in his family to go to college on either side. He came to Notre Dame on a full track scholarship. It's the only way he could have come. On his way to the train station before his freshman year, he was in a car accident, a bad car accident, and he got to school 2 weeks late. He was the second fastest miler in America when he was a senior in high school, and he never ran the same times again. But Notre Dame honored the scholarship all 4 years, which is just unbelievable, which doesn't even happen today. My dad's hero was his mother and my grandmother, who was just a wonderful woman and raised 7 kids, like I said, on nothing. I don't know how she did it. So our way of giving back is our scholarship is dedicated in my dad's name to kids who grew up in single-family homes, who have financial need, who had a single parent, either through death or cancer or divorce or what have you, but people who grew up in single-family homes who had difficulty, in hopes that they can come here and start their own family tradition and pass it on to other generations. So thank you.
Maurice and Kathy Norman.
Because of my age, I know that my bedtime hour is drawing nigh, so I will be very brief. Kathy and I are happy to honor with our scholarship the memory of Father Joe Walters, who chaired the Department of Pre-Professional Studies in the College of Science for many years. And we just wanted to thank him for his many years of service to the students, for counseling them. And we wanted to give him a long-term thanks for officiating at our wedding 26 years ago at Sacred Heart. Thank you.
Kevin and Cynthia O'Brien.
Kevin was naval ROTC here, and we married the year after I graduated, a year later. So I married into the military and into the Notre Dame family, a lot of tradition there. Our scholarship is to serve those who have served, with preference going to a family who's given the ultimate sacrifice.
So having attended Notre Dame on an ROTC scholarship and enjoyed financial aid, as others in the room have talked about tonight, about 2 years after graduation, I found myself on the northernmost ship in the Persian Gulf during Operation Shield and Desert Storm. And we use words like God, country, and Notre Dame. We use words like the spirit of Notre Dame, and they really take on a deeper context, and did for me through that experience with a great group of men over there and the support of my wife. So this is just a small way to say thanks and to give back.
Peter and Elizabeth Polcari.
Let me start by saying that I am unbelievably humbled to even be in the room with everyone here. You know, what everyone has done for this university is just beyond belief. Having said that, it is Notre Dame, so can't go too far without talking a little bit of athletics. So our scholarship is based on a couple of things. I am one of those psychos who have, you know, I went to school here, follow the football team everywhere, travel everywhere with the team. When my older daughter was in high school and our younger daughter was in, I guess, 5th grade, we went down to the Sugar Bowl. And what we always tried to instill in our children is that when you go somewhere or you get to do something great, you need to give back and help a little bit. So shortly after Katrina, we were down in New Orleans, did a lot of work with the university at a school for children who were underprivileged. Just so happened that my younger daughter's birthday was that weekend. And Father Jenkins came while we were there. And one of the women that was working with us happened to mention to him that it was our daughter's birthday. I don't know if you've ever seen paparazzi, like when Father Jenkins decided to give our daughter a special blessing in the middle of this big to-do. But the next day, her picture next to Brady Quinn on the Chicago Tribune, a blessing in New Orleans, that sealed the deal. So fast forward a few years, both of our daughters have been lucky enough to attend the university. One is a double domer, starting med school in September, and the other one is here now. They both pole vault on the track team, so I lucked out to have 2 athletes. Can't say enough to thank the university for what they've done for us, and this is our small way of doing whatever we can to help another student come through here, because it means the world to us. Thank you.
John and Judy Scully.
John and I never cease to be amazed by the international peace-building work that's being done at the Kroc. And we are just so proud to be able to help support a doctoral student in that effort.
I just want to say that listening to Father tonight talk about miracles and wonder, my dad installed telephones for 50 years for Illinois Bell. And those of you guys that remember the rotary telephone, that's what he installed. And when the opportunity for me to come here was a wonder. And Dad tonight, Father, would be very surprised that I'm able to give back to Notre Dame. And Judy and I are just delighted. I think there's a plot going on. I'm sitting with the dean of the graduate school, and we had lunch today with one of the students from the Kroc, who is a graduate of the University of Montana, has 2 advanced degrees from an Argentinian school, and had better offers from other great universities, but came to Notre Dame because it's Notre Dame, and she's going to get a PhD from Kroc in about 5 years. So it's a real joy for us to support the Kroc Peace Institute. Thank you.
Mike Steffen.
It really is a privilege to be here tonight with all of you, and like most of you have said, to have the opportunity, the privilege to be able to give back to Notre Dame for everything that we have received here. And I'm honored to be here tonight with my parents, James and Rosemary Steffen, and as a surprise and as a gift to them, I'm happy to say that I set up a separate scholarship fund in their name as a thank you for everything they've done for me. So Mom and Dad, thank you very much.
Rick and Peggy Stepien.
My name is Rick Stepien, and this is my wife, Peggy. And, the one thing I wanted to say tonight is, after hearing everybody talk, there's only 3 more after us. About 100 years ago, my grandparents emigrated to the United States. My grandmother was somewhere around 14 years old when she came over on a boat by herself from Poland. My grandfather came over. They were, somehow found a way to make it through, and somehow found a way to pay for my father to be the first one in his family to get an education. We never thought about it when we were growing up, but somehow they paid for myself, my 2 siblings, and my mother to all go to college virtually at the same time. And, so our gift, we have 2 children who, one's a student here now, one will be a student next year. And we're thinking about this and talking about this with Daryl Paulson last fall, and we wanted to pay it forward. And just because you never know how your words make a difference in when people are paying attention, but about 6 years ago, we were here at the university, and Lou Nani was talking, and he made a statement that always stuck in my mind, that if you want to give a gift and change the world, give the gift of education, in particular, Catholic education. And so that's what our gift is intended to do, is to try and change the world through one life at a time. Thanks.
Mike Thompson.
I had some remarks prepared, but I thought I was receiving a scholarship, and so I'll have to defer those. My contribution is just a small token of appreciation for what Notre Dame does. Thank you.
Mark and Jenny Wilson.
Hello, everyone. I am thrilled and humbled to be here tonight with my husband. There he is. You're not my husband. Oh, my gosh. But you would be a good husband, Father John. You moved. You would have been good. Let me start over. My husband, Mark, and I are really thrilled and very humbled to be here tonight. I had the gift of a Notre Dame education, and my story is really about my mom and dad, Leo and Nancy Worthman, who are here with us tonight. So my dad came to Notre Dame in 1949, loved Notre Dame, but he also had another love, and that was his high school sweetheart, my mom. And when they wanted to get married after his freshman year, his father was a little obstinate and said, no, you need to finish your Notre Dame education, and if you don't want to do that, I won't pay. And my father said, we want to do that. We want to get married and go to Notre Dame. And that was very common. It was after the war. But his father still said no, and my mom wasn't Catholic. And so my dad had to make a choice as to what lady he loved the most. And luckily for me and my 7 siblings, my dad chose to leave Notre Dame and come back to Columbus, Ohio, marry my mom. They've been married almost 64 years, and 7 siblings. So when I went to Notre Dame, there's probably nothing that made my dad more happy that someone got their Notre Dame education. And we will have a son attending Notre Dame, and he will get his Notre Dame education. So it's because of the University of Notre Dame and because of my mom and dad that I have been able to achieve what I have in my life. And so it's time to give back, and we're thrilled to do that. And Only my father will know about a blessing. When you go to Notre Dame and you graduate, and you know at the Mass, they give a blessing, and Father asks you to raise your hands over all the graduates and bless them. My father didn't do that. My father's blessing was like this. There was only one blessing, and it was for me. So that is for you, Dad. Thank you.
Dennis and Mary Walter.
Father John will be the first to tell you that the last shall go first and the first shall go last. There's no way that I can match the heartfelt, sincere, and inspiring messages of those who have preceded me, so I won't even try. I will say thanks, Father, for a very inspirational weekend. Two things really come to mind. My sense of Notre Dame as family has been very much deepened. I really appreciate that. And number two, I really feel privileged to join you in some small way enabling students to partake of the Notre Dame experience. It is really gratifying to Mary and I. Thank you.
I just can't tell you how inspiring these stories are. I want to thank you for them, and I want to thank you for your gifts. And I think of all the stories yet to be told of these young people who will be able to come to Notre Dame because of your generosity. It's inspiring. One thing that Father Hesburgh, a piece of advice he gave to me when I became president, he said, be close to the students. They're the most important people on campus. You have remembered that, and you will give students today and in the future the opportunity to come to Notre Dame. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thanks for those stories you shared with us. Thank you for making Notre Dame possible for many students in the future. And I'm just going to close it with bring it all together in a prayer. Lord, we have so much to thank you for. Thank you for these wonderful, generous people who have made a Notre Dame education possible for future students. We thank you for those students. We thank you for the gift of everyone who contributes to this great university and for all it is. We ask that we always remember to continue its mission for today and for the future. Guide us always. And we pray this through Notre Dame, our Mother, and through Christ our Lord. Amen. God bless and thank you.
Thank you, Father. That ends our evening. Thank you for coming this weekend. Thank you for supporting Notre Dame. Thank you for being Notre Dame. Safe travels. Good night.